What's up, everybody? Dr. Jaws here, and tonight we are covering the Coral Catshark, Atelomycterus marmoratus. This is going to be a really cool species as far as coral reef species that it's kind of popular, very popular in aquariums, kind of popular in, I would say, like kind of like general shark knowledge. This was one of my absolute favorite species growing up, actually even just like as a little kid with like shark books. And there's a lot of cool material on it, both in terms of footage as well as like husbandry for public aquariums. Like there's a lot of cool manuals on taking care of sharks, which is something that people don't really like. It's like something that people don't really think about too often. So it's going to be really cool to see how or what we learn about this species. Before we get started, shout out to Indonesia. We have, hey Howard, what's up? Welcome back. Good evening to you too. I was just gonna say shout out to Indonesia. It's really cool. It's been a very long time since we added a new country, since our audience is small and everything. But it was really cool to see. Last week we had one of our new viewers is from Indonesia, so we've added it to the list of country, or not the list, the flag, like the flag of countries, the flag bar on top of the shark name. So, which I'm really excited about. So hopefully we'll reach out to more and more people from around the world. But it's really cool to actually branch out from the continent a little bit. So welcome Indonesia to the Dr. Jaws live shark study parties. So hope you had a good weekend, Howard. Oh hey, let me see. I just saw your message. Oh, cool. Okay. I'm so sorry. This came in after I was setting up the stream, so let me go ahead and get that ready. I should be able to upload that. So thank you. This looks awesome, Howard. I just saw this art, so this is super cool. Let me go ahead and get that ready. Hey, Minjus, what's up? Welcome back. Hope you guys had great weekends. I had a fun time in Washington, D.C. My girlfriend and I, my girlfriend's birthday was last week, so I took her for a fun birthday weekend in D.C. and we went to the National Gallery of Art. So pretty fun weekend overall. Okay, so I'm going to get, speaking of art, I'm going to get Howard's art up here in a second, so it's just loading. But hope you guys had a really fun weekend. Things about Coral Catshark, I guess before we get started. I know that it's a reef-dwelling species that uses its very like thin body to get into like these really cool coral crevices. And I think that there's something about that I really like, as far as like, I think it's such a cool, like when you think about from the shark's perspective, just that lifestyle of, you can wedge into these like really cool nooks and crannies in like one of the most beautifully colored reefs or like ecosystems in the world, being the tropical coral reef, and you could be like safe from predators, and day and night, like this is your existence. Like you go from a different kind of coral to a different kind of coral, like one reef patch to another reef patch, and there's just something like so really like cozy or comforting about it, where it's like you're surrounded by all these like beautiful fish, and you are like an apex predator still. Like coral cat sharks, even though they're quite small, technically they would kind of count as an apex predator of sorts, or like at least a higher level predator, being that it's able to go after like crabs or fish, like kind of like hiding in the reef. And yet itself, this species does have like a nice defense mechanism in terms of like just being able to wedge itself into really hard to reach places with this kind of serpentine body. So it's going to be a really cool one to dive into. While the art is loading, we can actually take a look at some footage of a coral catshark. Here we go. So what's fun is that I'm really happy to see that there's actually wild footage of this species, because this is a very popular species in public aquariums. It's also popular in private aquariums, and the latter I don't really want to support. I'm not really a big fan of, just because like the methods, like the aquarium trade is kind of tricky and a little controversial. Where, oh, it's so cool seeing. These are two different coral cat sharks swimming in different parts of the reef. This is so awesome. But the aquarium trade is tricky because all species, the origin point was collected from, tropical reefs miles away from like, North American or European markets, and sometimes the method of reef collection is like really dangerous. Like, oh, this is such a beautiful species. I have more to say. I do want to take a moment just to enjoy. Look at that. Okay, so this is really cool. So we saw a little bit of backpedaling. We can see like the shark readjusting using its pectoral fins to walk backwards. We also, I believe if I'm not mistaken, we saw the nictitating membrane, so that protective eyelid kind of like structure, protect the eye really briefly. Let's go back to make sure I saw that. Keep an eye on, or keep watching the eye. I want to see if I saw that correctly. I thought I saw him blink. This is the cat shark, just like other carcharodontiforms, does have the nictitating membrane, which protects the eye when feeding. So this could have been the trick of the light. Nope, no, I think I saw it. Okay, let's slow that down. Settings. Alright. Here we go. We're gonna slow that down. Beautiful eyes, by the way. Like, kind of almost like a pearly, faint blue. Okay, I think it was just a copepod, because I see like a copepod in a water column. I think it just crossed the eye at just the right time for the camera, so I think that was not the nictitating membrane. Oh well. But it does have one. So this is a carcharodontiform shark, so all cat sharks are in the order Carcharodontiforms, so they all have the nictitating membranes which do protect the eyes when they feed. So it will look like the shark is closing its eyes, and that's a way to protect eyeballs when feeding. It's amazing to follow this species kind of around the reef. And it's adorable and so active. It's really cool to see. This is night, so this, like many other cat sharks, is a nocturnal species. Some cat sharks are diurnal, but most of them are nocturnal, and they're very sluggish in the daytime. So. Oops. And I'm so sorry, Howard. I'm working on trying to load the art. My airdrop is not working right now. Worst case scenario, I'll be able to showcase it next week. And I could showcase this on the channel page. So I might have to do that. So I'll keep trying throughout the stream. But I apologize in advance if I can't get it up. Either way, I'll be able to show it either after the stream or next week, or both. So, but I'll keep trying during the stream. So, because it looks really awesome, and you nailed just the pattern on the species. The species has like a characteristic, like dark, like kind of like a chocolate brown pattern with these beautiful white spots, kind of intermixed with chains, and like kind of the white fin margins. So it's, again, it was one of my favorite species growing up, just because of the actual color pattern. Because I never seen, I had no idea that sharks could like look like this. Just kind of like this really intricate, unique spotting pattern. And I love him, how he's like wiggling his pectoral fins. Like, I love how active this particular individual is. And you can see he's in like that food mode. He is actively hunting. We'll watch this clip one more time and we'll kind of move on to another one. But yeah, here's one chilling on the seabed, kind of wriggling himself away, moving backwards. It's so cool to see sharks move backwards because infamously there's that movie called Deep Blue Sea, which keeps saying that sharks can't go backwards. Oh, look how reflective the eyes are, by the way, in this individual. From a distance, those eyes are actually reflecting the light off of the diver light, so it's so cool. But in Deep Blue Sea, the movie Deep Blue Sea, the sharks infamously can't swim backwards, and then they got smarter and were able to do that or something like that. This is like an old 2000s movie, and it's just like, it's not that great. But it's really cool to see like actual biology at play, and seeing that like some sharks, like these cat sharks, are very mobile across the seabed, have a lot of dexterity with their fins, and use that to their advantage as far as scoping out their environment. And sometimes it is better, rather than swimming in the water column, to just be kind of crawling in crevices or along the seabed, or just kind of doing what this individual's doing, is readjusting himself to be in a better, or herself, to be in a better position. Or himself, that's a him. I can see the clasper, so that's a boy coral cat shark. So very alert and active. Gorgeous, gorgeous species. Like, I love all sharks. This is still one of my favorites. Video by Lorne Mueller. That's actually really cool. Definitely like and subscribing, but Mueller is kind of cool. Mueller and Ley were actually early ichthyologists, so probably not unlikely to be related, but still kind of cool to think about. So, oh, it's a little shimmy. Oh, good point, Howard. Note they don't walk on their fins. Yes, so they they are angling the fins and able to kind of pivot in such a way to kind of like help orient, reorient themselves. This one does not walk like the epaulet shark does. So, but it's still cool to see like the dexterity with the species. This is a coral cat shark in Taiwan. Slightly different color patterning on this individual. And this is kind of cool seeing this one move a little bit in a more freeform way, so a little bit more serpentine movement. And still wriggling his little pectoral fins, kind of like pushing like away the rocks as it swims forward. Finding a nice place to hide. So these are completely adorable sharks. And so much more active than we were looking at a different kind of coral reef shark, and we were seeing that they were kind of like a lot more sedentary, and it's like really cool to see that the coral cat sharks. I'm so sorry, this is so distracting. Wow. The coral cat sharks are a lot more active in the way that they patrol the seabed at night, the way that they go foraging for food, or maybe try to evade the diver who's looking at them. Although this species, this individual is not like making a huge effort to get out of there. I think he actually might be foraging a little bit. So, but I was saying earlier. Sorry, that's some nice little. Cool ambience going on today. Coral reef fish in trade are very tricky. Where by this point there are some captively bred fish. I think we probably talked about this before. By this point there are some captively bred fish, and it's not necessarily unethical to own the ones that are captively bred. But for ones that are wild and imported, I think you can raise an ethics question, because the method of collection for coral reef fish, at least older methods of collection, are really destructive for the reef itself. Sometimes cyanide has been used, like spraying cyanide in different parts of the reef to just paralyze the target fish, collect it, but as you can imagine, the cyanide is just like killing everything else around it. So that's one factor of like coral die off, and just it's just awful. And like that has really like thrown me off of private aquariums. Like I used to have like private freshwater aquariums, or like I used to help take care of like a school tropical aquarium. But and like the actual practice of it is a lot of fun, and it is like very like interesting, but the ethics of it in terms of like where are these fish imported, where are they coming from, how are they being collected, for me personally it's just too much, where it's like I can't do this. Like I feel really bad about doing this. And also on top of that, I don't know if I like an individual as a private aquarium owner like really maybe fully understands or can understand the unique needs and spatial needs, especially of each species. Even public aquariums probably don't do the best job as far as like large animals like sharks. But public aquariums at least have the benefit of like conservation education for, you know, like society. So, so aquariums are always kind of tricky with me. I feel kind of, oh, this is really cool. This is a coral catshark doing that classic posture of a lot of these small reef-dwelling sharks where they're kind of standing, they're pivoting on their pectoral fins and actively buccal pumping, so pumping water over their gills. But anyway, yeah, like just because of the ethics of aquariums, I'm really wary of the whole idea. I really don't want to support private collections or private aquaria because I just think I think it could be I think the risk of it being destructive is very high, and the risk of the buyer being uninformed is kind of high as well in terms of like where did these species come from, like, or where did these individuals come from. That being said, there is a caveat that there are a lot of tropical aquariums, there are a lot of tropical aquarium species that are captively bred, and that is a bit better as far as ethics go. But for tonight, as far as aquariums go, because this is a very popular aquarium species, we're going to focus on public aquariums because again, they do have that conservation benefit and that education benefit. So, but I really love that we are getting wild clips of this species. You know, just so we can kind of see it in action. Those first two clips were actually really fantastic of the coral catshark. So just kind of seeing it be as energetic as it is, and kind of actively. This is from nature footage, cool. Actively patrolling its environment. So, oh hey, Roy, what's up, man? Welcome back. Oh, oh my gosh. God, its little wiggles are so cute. Love that comment, Minjus. Oh, Minjus, something I noticed is that when the audio is fuzzy, the music isn't fuzzy, so it's probably just the mic. Interesting. That's a good point. You know what? Maybe I think it might be time I get a new microphone then. Because this one I have had for a while, so that could be. Oh, good. The audio is good. That could probably be the issue. So thank you, Minjus. Actually, I really appreciate that. So, but oh my gosh, Roy, welcome back. Good to see you again. A lot has happened. We have a new country, Indonesia. So we had I think Mondo was the name of the YouTuber last week, or the viewer last week. But he was from Indonesia. So we do have a new country in our community, which is super exciting. So, but this is a coral catshark in a public aquarium in Japan. This one's interesting. The coloration's a little bit different, a little bit lighter than the wild individuals. So we'll take one more look at that. But still very, very active. You know, and it's really cool to see because I'm used to catsharks being sluggish. We have the chain catshark, Scilurhinus radifer, off of kind of like in the deep water areas off of our coast here. And Scilurhinus radifer is also in New England. So, and actually, Scilurhinus radifer is chain catshark is a popular public aquarium shark in the United States, and I would assume Canada as well, because it does live there. But they're typically really sluggish, and it's really cool to see. In contrast, the coral catshark being a lot more active. So, and that actually may relate to their environments. Scilurhinus radifer, the chain catshark, does live in deep water areas where maybe it has to be more conservative in terms of its energy use. And then this little guy, the coral catshark, being in tropical sunlit waters, maybe by nature is a lot more active. So this is an interesting clip. It's coral catsharks bred at the Tennessee Aquarium, and I believe we have a paper later tonight. Kind of talking about some of the science behind coral catshark breeding. So coral catshark, like all catsharks, lay eggs, and I think we do get a chance to see them. Oh, bonnethead shark! There's a bonnethead shark in this tank. That's really cool to see. He just swam by. Oh, an Acaunos ray. Very nice. Okay, we don't need to watch this, but we do want to see this. So here are egg cases. They're doing a light test to kind of check the health. You could actually see the shark, breathing, or like kind of pulsating its gills, which are really big. Its head is really big relative to the rest of its body. So cool. Very interesting looking egg capsules. And there are some babies! Really tiny, small, cute. Almost like very, very darkly colored baby coral cat sharks. Alright, so this, oh my gosh, look at their big heads. Look how big their heads are relative to their body. Let's slow that down, actually. And they're so delicate. These are very adorable. I love their like little paddle fins. So cool. And then the adults, fairly sizable. That's a pretty nice size for a shark. Kind of when you can see a good scale with like the different rays and bony fish in a tank. So, nope, nope. I choose nothing. I don't want to see Tina Fey. All right. And then this one, I believe this is from the New England Aquarium, which is in Boston. Which is an aquarium I've been to. Actually, I really like the New England Aquarium. One of my favorite things about public aquariums, by the way, is like I really love when they do regional displays. Because if you're visiting a location, I remember I really loved this in Mote Marine Lab in Florida. Like if you're visiting a location, you really do want to see like, oh man, what's the local wildlife like? Like, you know, what is offshore right now? Like what are these animals? Like, you know, and especially if I'm not really familiar with an area, I really do enjoy when aquariums lean into their local life as much as they lean into like, you know, tropical species. So New England Aquarium has a really cool tide pool exhibit showcasing Acadian wildlife. The Virginia Aquarium has an amazing tank called the Norfolk Canyon Tank, which has sand tiger sharks, sandbar sharks, jack crevalles, like really, really cool fish in that tank. And it's kind of like a shipwreck submarine theme. Super cool. North Carolina Aquarium does an A+ job at showcasing North Carolina wildlife. They have similarly designed tanks with like sand tigers and shipwrecks. They're super cool. And then Mote Marine Lab had a really cool a series of Florida tanks that kind of showed like seagrass beds, coral reefs of Florida, you know, otters, alligators. So really cool place. And I apologize for the sniffles. I'm a little congested, but allergies are striking back, which is really odd. I usually never get summer allergies, but. Fun allergy fact, by the way. I have no idea if this is happening this year, but this is a thing that happens, and let me know if anyone's heard of this before. But there is a phenomenon where in certain years it happens. Certain years, and it happens some years. It happens it's intermittent. It's kind of like an El Nino. But the Sahara Desert is so huge and so sandy that in certain years the wind will pick up some of the sands and blow it across such a vast distance that it actually hits the United States a little bit. And it can lead to aggravated allergies. So particularly bad allergy years, partially resulting from sand or dust or stuff collected from the Sahara, just based on how the winds work. Which is kind of wild. It's a really cool fact that I forget who told me that, but like it's really cool to think about, like, you know, as vast as that distance is, so too like the desert itself is extremely vast, and it's kind of cool to think about like, wow, just that transport of like, you know, dust. I was about to say transport of puff, but dust. So, oh my gosh. I don't think this is one of those years though, but that is a phenomenon that I've heard of. So, we're just gonna play this first clip one more time, just because like I just want to make sure Roy, since hopped on a little bit later, I just want to make sure you get to see the full blast of the Coral Catshark. I also don't think anybody would object to seeing more Coral Catshark, the wiggly, beautiful, adorable, sweet catshark in action again. So. So this is really cool. So Howard made an observation that it's not walking on its fins, but it is definitely using its fins to kind of readjust itself. So that's actually a really cool observation and a really cool difference between this species and then like carpet sharks, where it's cool to see that they have a similar ecological niche. But carpet sharks are actually like the epaulet shark is actually walking on the seabed, and then the coral cat shark is actually just kind of reorienting itself. It's trying to like push itself it's not true walking, but it is kind of like, you know, kind of like angling the pectoral fins in such a way where it can get some good leverage to get itself in the position it wants to be in. So. Also, take note of like all the different kinds of corals. Like in this one shot alone, you could probably count maybe, oh god, at least 30 species. I think you can probably get 30 species in some of these shots. Because like it's just kind of amazing to see like the different the rubble and like the different elements here. And I'm not as familiar with I'm actually really not as familiar with coral reefs. I kind of am familiar with Florida reefs, but not really so much Indo-Pacific reefs, which are just wild in biodiversity. So yeah, I couldn't even begin to identify, excuse me, some of the species. So, but yeah, mandatory viewing. Oh, baby noodle. Oh, cool. Howard, they've been seen lying in wait for prey. Awesome. Very, very cool. All right, so let's see. This is so embarrassing, guys. I actually let's play that clip one more time in slow motion because this is so embarrassing. I actually do have to blow my nose. I'm so sorry. This is the first for the stream, but oh no, I want slow motion, so I want half speed. First for the stream, but I do have to disappear really quickly. But again, sharks and music, can't beat it. I will be back 1 second. LOL, welcome back. Nothing happened. I didn't disappear. So anyway, okay. Let's go back to normal speed with this. Alright, I don't think, I forget if I was in the middle of a point of reef trade. I was talking about like reef diversity. So again, I don't know Indo-Pacific reefs that well, but in Florida, some of the big players are like staghorn coral, elkhorn coral, fire coral, which actually works like jellyfish. Like if you rub up against fire coral, you actually do get burned, and it hurts. It is like, it's worse than the sea nettle sting. It can get really bad, actually. So one of the many reasons why you should wear like protective gear and not touch the reef. Brain coral is one of my favorites. That's a really famous one. Sea pens, which is like a soft coral. Whip coral, which actually does exist in Virginia. Whip corals are really it's a very like thin, like purplish coral. It actually changes color depending on where you are. I think in the bay it's purple, but then when you get to the ocean it's yellow. But it's actually really cool. There is coral up the coast. It's either in very deep water or it's either not reef forming. So, but thanks guys. I just saw the comments. So, anyway, so yeah, let's dive into. I don't even know where to go first. I guess we'll try the Tennessee Aquarium, which did showcase a breeding program for the Coral Catshark. So I think this is a good place to start as far as like what is this species about. Near threatened conservation status, here we go. The Coral Catshark is a small, slender shark with a narrow head and the elongated cat-like eyes typical of the catshark family. Although a widespread and common species, surprisingly little is known about the biology of the Coral Catshark. Reclusive and inactive during the day, at dusk and at night the Coral Catshark actively forages for small, bottom-living invertebrates and bony fishes. Its slender form allows it to access tight spaces on the reef. It is oviparous. Females lay purse-shaped egg capsules 2 at a time at the bottom, and the young hatch after approximately 100 days. So, Does that show me more Coral Catshark photos? Oh, I guess that button doesn't. So, oh, here we go. Range shallow coral reefs across the Indo-West Pacific from Pakistan to New Guinea. Inshore species of Coral Catshark inhabits coral reefs and live in crevices and holes in the reef, and eats small bottom living invertebrates and bony fishes. So, here is Sharks and Rays. This is wildlife photographer Andy Merck, one of our favorites. So he's got some beautiful photos of the Coral Catshark. Let's see if we have some dive notes. Excuse me. Yeah. Coral Catshark is a bycatch species of demersal trawl, non-line, and gillnet fisheries throughout its range, and is retained for human consumption. The relative abundance of the species in catch data may indicate some resilience of fishing pressure, probably due to the coral catshark's preference for rocky or coral habitat where large-scale fishing gear cannot be deployed. Reaction to divers, usually quite shy, retreating deeper when disturbed inside crevices in the reef. Sometimes comes to rest in plain view, allowing close examination and photo ops, not known to respond to bait. Okay. Let's see. Although quite secretive, coral catsharks are fairly common on many reefs in Southeast Asia and are too numerous to list here. I've seen more coral catsharks while diving around Malapascua Island in the Philippines than anywhere else, but that may be just because on one trip I was specifically looking in every crevice and under every coral head for catsharks and bamboo sharks. There appear to be lots of sightings from Lembeh Strait off Sulawesi. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but that may simply be because there's a disproportionate high number of photographers that go there. Anywhere that you are aware coral catsharks occur, the best way to find one is to bring a good dive light and look in every crevice and under every overhang on the dive. Remember to be careful of the fragile reef during your search. So, love to see some detailed photos. Oh man. He always got gorgeous shots, absolutely gorgeous shots of these species. So. By the way, guys, so since it is summer, because most of our viewers are in the northern hemisphere, in temperate North America, but actually, no, all viewers. I mean, like opening to all viewers. So welcoming in Indonesia. Is anyone doing any ocean things or ocean plans, like beach plans for the summer? Or just in general, like any any fun activities like aquariums or snorkeling or diving or I don't know, what's everybody doing this year? Hey, Mondre Mondo, what's up? Welcome back. Good to have you. And yeah, these are I'm super excited for the coral catsharks. As far as like this is it's already been a really beautiful reef species. So, but. Yeah, let me know, guys, if you're doing anything fun as far as like any aquatic stuff or beach stuff in the comments. So, or any kind of marine life related stuff. Yeah, this shot is gorgeous. It's actually really cool to see. You can see kind of like really nice, like a really nice angle of just the pectoral fin, the dorsal fin, and the caudal fin shape. Where the caudal fin has that really lovely like upper lobe that's kind of more squared off, and then like a smooth lower lobe. Love the arc on the species. What's kind of interesting is like it looks pretty distinct from its environment, so probably from a distance it would be very well camouflaged, but it is kind of cool, and like maybe from a distance like this pattern of light and dark, like alternating light and dark, might help it look like, you know, crevices, kind of like the deep and light places of like holes along the reef, but the camouflage is not immediately evident for the species. So, oh hey, Mondre Mondo, setting up a new aquarium. Just got my shrimps. Mingus might be going on a boat if that's summery enough. Yeah, awesome. Oh, Roy, the only plans I have is making theme park rides. No ocean plans. How far, if you don't mind me asking, Roy, how far is how far is the seaside? Like either coast, like the Atlantic or Pacific coast? If you don't mind me asking. So. And also in Ripley's aquarium, because I believe you mentioned that you're close to Ripley's aquarium. Let me see if they have Do you know if they have snorkeling programs? Because some aquariums do. Snorkeling Ripley's Canada Aquarium. Kind of curious. Ripley's Aquarium of Canada. Daily experiences. Sorry, I'm just quite curious about this. Oh! So apparently in Ripley's Aquarium you can do a stingray experience. Interesting. Where you can actually be amongst the stingrays. That's really cool. Very cool. That might be fun to check out. Oh. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. It's kind of a nice shot of a coral catshark finding a partial crevice. So, but kind of on the move as well. Awesome shot. Love this one. So just kind of like hovering above the coral, and you can actually see the coral polyps here. So I assume everybody is familiar with coral, but just in case, as a recap. So tropical coral. I guess all coral. Coral is it's kind of like a collection of it's a collection of these polyps. And the polyps are kind of like, they're almost like sea anemones. They are very closely related. They are in the same class, Anthozoa. And these polyps have this specific algae called zooxanthellae. And the zooxanthellae is what gives the coral the color. And zooxanthellae live in a very unique range or a very specific range of temperatures. So the temperature has to be just right in the water for the zooxanthellae to be colorful, to absorb sunlight, to photosynthesize, and provide food for the polyp. And the polyp, in turn, kind of creates a home for the zooxanthellae. The polyps also, I think all coral polyps do this, but they can also collect food in the water, just like an anemone can. So they're really cool, very complex animals. Part of coral bleaching and the problem that corals face today is that when water temperatures rise due to global warming, the zooxanthellae freak out and they abandon the polyps. And when they do that, the polyps turn white. They lose their color because they're losing the algae, and like they die off because they kind of need that zooxanthellae to survive. So it's really like coral bleaching is, it's really sad when you kind of understand the relationship of the algae and the coral polyps that they have together. And it's also really a shame because a huge part of what a coral is that when polyps die naturally, a new polyp like builds on top of the old polyp's skeleton, and those skeletons make these like beautiful, like it's like hundreds of years of like formations, like of this like beautiful coral base that eventually one day becomes limestone. But it's a really complex kind of like, it's a complex critter that is very sensitive to water temperature. So let's see. Oh, Rory, I think they do have snorkeling programs. Very cool. So okay, let's see. Coral Catshark IUCN Red List. We'll take a look at that. So, Andre Mondo, you can put a link in the comments. Guppies are so cute. Yep, I used to have, no, I didn't. Did I have a guppy? I had mollies when I was growing up. I did have mollies at one point. So, which are kind of like fat, chubby freshwater fish. Yep, they're pretty easy to keep. They're good. They're pretty easy to keep, but yeah, I'm me personally, I'm kind of wary of aquariums. Just kind of like I was described at the top of the stream, but public aquariums like the Tennessee Aquarium, like with the the breeding program for coral cat sharks, I do think that's really interesting. And actually, there is a website that is talking about how coral cat sharks, like how you do take care of them. So we'll check that out in a little bit because we haven't really seen something like that before. But First, conservation status for the species. Why is this species near threatened? Which is not bad. It's not bad as far as sharks go. But let's take a look at the assessment information. So here we go. Coral Catshark is in the eastern and western Indian, western central Pacific, northwest Pacific Oceans, from Pakistan to China. Lives in shallow rocky and coral reef habitats at depths of 5 to 100 meters. Species is bycatch of a range of artisanal industrial gears, including demersal trawl, longline, and gillnet, and is retained for human consumption. Reconstructed catches of all the sharks, skates, and rays from the Bangladesh, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, and China exclusive economic zones could be used to infer population reductions of 54 to 99% over the past 45 years. Further, a population reduction of 60% was inferred based on a 50% decrease in Fisheries Independent Research Survey catch rate of elasmobranchs between 1970 and 1980. These levels of decline are not species-specific, but are informative for understanding the broader levels of decline of elasmobranchs in the region. Fishing pressure is high across much of the spatial and depth range of the species, yet is still commonly landed in parts of its range. The relative proportion of the species in shark landings has increased over recent decades in the region, which may be in response to the overfishing of large sharks, resulting in meso-predator release of the coral catshark. Interesting. Okay. So, very interesting. So, what that means is because we're fishing out large predators, like, say, let's just say tiger sharks. Tiger sharks are probably too big for these, but like, if you remove tiger sharks, the overall overarching apex predator of the reef, it's like that reef does not have that predator force anymore. It doesn't have the pressure of the predator anymore. So the prey items start to flourish. So that's what meso-predator releases, and the coral catshark as a prey item starts to like multiply, and starts to flourish because it's not feeling the predation pressure of actually let's take another one, a white tip reef shark. That's actually a better example, because I can easily see white tip reef sharks like munching on coral cat sharks, where they're mid-bodied sharks that are pretty aggressive, well, not aggressive, but like voracious, but if you fish out white tip reef sharks or tiger sharks, you remove the predator, but it allows the prey to flourish. So that's good for the coral catshark. It's not good for sharks in general, and it's not good for the ecosystem in general, because if there's a bunch of coral catsharks or other mid-level predators, they in turn can, over-predate the base of the food chain, and you start to kind of begin like an ecosystem collapse. So, excuse me. The famous example is like kelp forests, where if you hunt sea otters, the sea otters are not there to eat the sea urchins, and the sea urchins in turn start kind of eating the kelp, and it's a whole mess. So alternatively, the increase in landings may imply some resilience to or refuge from fishing pressure. The species spends much of its time on coral and rocky habitats where many fishing gears are unlikely to be deployed. That's actually really encouraging, and I really appreciate that, where the corals themselves create a physical refuge for fish, in a sense that fishermen are discouraged from fishing them. So the rocky and coral habitat in inshore and seasonal trawl bands in China may afford the species refuge from fishing pressure over the majority of its range. The species is not targeted in any part of its range, and if landed, is likely done so as bycatch. It is likely the species has not declined to the same degree as other sharks and rays in the region. It is suspected that the coral catshark has undergone a population reduction of 20 to 29% over the last 3 generation lengths due to declines in habitat quality and levels of exploitation, and it is assessed as near threatened, close to meeting vulnerable. Okay, so it's almost in trouble, but we're not quite there yet, and we have some time. So hate to do this again, but I am really feeling super congested. So let's go back to, let's get rid of this ad, because this video had the baby coral catsharks, so I'm going to play that as I just blow my nose. I'm so sorry. It's weird allergy seasons, and I partially blame the Sahara Desert if that's what's going on this year, but it might not be. So let's go forward to, alright. We're just going to slow the babies down. Okay, super slow. Okay. Maybe not that slow. Okay, much better. Okay, I will be right back. So sorry. Oh my goodness. My girlfriend is so sweet. She gave me a packet of tissues. Alright, back. We're back. Oh my gosh. Alright, so let's talk about how we take care of coral cat sharks in an aquarium setting. So it was this website, which Minge's allergy season, yeah. Oh yeah, Mondo. Yes, thank you. So yeah, I found one thing I love about YouTube is there's so much like music as far as just like video game music or just like kind of film scores or just ambient rooms, and like there's some channels that have like really cool like mixes of like reefs with music. So this is from the Finding Nemo soundtrack, which is super cool. So very, very cool. So I'm glad you enjoy it, because that's one of my favorite features of YouTube, is that you can, and it's also something really comforting about YouTube. It's been a while since I've like praised YouTube, but like I'm just gonna do it again. Like, so YouTube does have a lot of junk. It has a lot of bad content. It has a lot of really creepy stuff, but it also has a lot of like wonderful niches, like these wonderful gardens of creativity. And it's like anything you could possibly want to find, where it's like paleontology or chemistry or like, you know, sharks. You know, there's dedicated creators who like love talking about that stuff, and that's one of my favorite things. Is like, if there's something that you love, like you're gonna find a community here, you know, who like talks about it and has like, you know, a cool channel that like goes into it, and then like that influences your algorithm and that influences what is being shown to you, and you can actually tailor make your channel into like this nice, like your channel is in like, as a viewer, you can tailor make it into this like really nice thing. So yes, Minja, it's true. It just takes forever to find sometimes. Yes, agreed. It takes a while, but like I really enjoy like consciously like watching, liking, subscribing good content, like as in like just like, and I'm just gonna say like healthy, like kind of like I'm gonna say positive, like regardless of the subject, if it's something that's kind of like wholesome or just like uplifting or healthy, it's good to like subscribe and like to that, as opposed to something that's like kind of like I love review channels and stuff. Like, they're fun, but they can be negative after a while. So it's like, if you kind of train your own algorithm to kind of help, you know, like introduce you to like content that is like positive, kind of like, you know, more in your specific interests, like it can be this wonderful garden of creativity, and that's something I really do love about YouTube, the platform. And especially, it's so big now that like there's so many channels at this point where it's like you actually can make your own custom experience, which I think is really cool. So anyway, sorry about that. Cat sharks, specifically a coral cat shark, how do you take care of them? So shark husbandry is interesting. I do not encourage private shark husbandry, because it's like, sharks are just so big, and like when you think about the aquarium scale, they're big animals, and I forget if the rule of thumb is like every inch of a fish requires like a gallon of water or something. There's like a rule like that, like for every inch of fish that you have to have a gallon in order for it to be okay in the tank. So for private aquariums, I'm really like, I'm very shy about, shark collection because like sharks are huge when it comes to even the coral catshark. It's a huge animal when it comes to a tank. For public aquariums, I'm a lot more supportive of that. So we're just gonna read this kind of from the public aquarium lens. We don't really get a chance to see like what goes into taking care of sharks, but let's check it out now. So coral catshark, not reef tank suitable, likely fish only tank suitable. Interesting. This is what I like about this, where it's like you can start to kind of see the behavior come out. And I used to take care of aquarium fish, both in Seacoast Science Center in Rye, and then the Virginia Institute of Marine Science. They do have a small aquarium in Gloucester Point, Massachusetts, Gloucester Point, Virginia. So Rye, New Hampshire, and then Gloucester Point, Virginia. So I took care of, and I did take care of a tropical aquarium in my high school, but I did take care of a couple different aquarium collections, and like 2 of them were public. The high school one, I guess the high school one it's not public, but whatever. And you do learn like these interesting little niches of fish behavior, and you do learn these kind of little like quirks, and that's something I am really interested in. So here we go. So the natural environment of this shark inhabits crevices and holes in lagoon patch reefs, mangrove areas, and intertidal zones, usually found at depths between 3 to 15 feet, 1 to 5 meters, where it feeds on small fishes, shrimp, worms, crabs, urchins, and other crustaceans. General husbandry, rarely seen in the trade, that's good, having dark body and white belly with white spots and bars and a white tips on the dorsal, okay? They are best maintained in large shark and stingrays type aquariums, having deep, fine-grained sand and wide open swimming areas, peaceful, non-fin nipping tank mates, and tank mates too large to be eaten. Okay, interesting. Also, a large, well-filtered and well-oxygenated system with few environmental obstructions, however, should have large caves and or ledges to hide in under, especially during daylight hours. So, by the way, Mundo, oh, interesting. Would you say coral catsharks are easier to keep than corals? I know corals are very sensitive. I would say I'm going to guess corals are easier, because corals are very sensitive, but I think you can at least kind of control like some of the, and I was about to talk about kind of like, there's so much that goes into an aquarium. Like you can kind of control since it's a sedentary animal, you can kind of control its environment and what it needs. Whereas like I feel like with a large moving animal like a cat shark, there's a lot more X factors in terms of like, what it needs as far as stimulation or like its diet, or is the water still okay for it? So. So Mondo mentioned that you take care of an aquarium. Has anybody else tried aquaria? Does anybody else know kind of like what goes into it? Because there's a lot. It's deceptively, like, freshwater tanks are tricky, in themselves, but saltwater tanks are like tricky times 11. Like they're really, really difficult, because saltwater tanks, you have to have the right balance of salt and water. So you have to make sure that the salinity is correct. In all tanks, you have to make sure the acidity is correct. So there's this thing called a pH balance. You can have tanks that are too acidic or too basic. It has to be somewhere in the middle. So you have to get the pH balance right. You have to get the salinity right. You have to make sure the tank is well oxygenated. So a lot of the filters have, they create the bubbles, and that actually is like kind of helping to churn the water. There's another one that I am missing. I think calcium, if I remember correctly. Saltwater tanks need calcium because you need calcium carbonate in the water, because it's something to do with like, if you have a tank with like mollusks, they need that for their shells. Oh gosh, there's I feel like I'm missing a couple for saltwater tanks. Another one that's kind of fascinating is you need bacteria. If you get an aquarium, if you're working on an aquarium, like say you're in a public aquarium and you're like opening it up for the first time, you can't put fish in there, even if you get the pH right and the salinity right and the the calcium carbonate right, and like everything else right, temperature right, oxygen right, you have to give it a couple days, couple weeks to make sure that the aquarium has bacteria and other microorganisms, and that the microorganism climate is correct, where like that bacteria like ingests a lot of different like compounds in the water, and then excretes a lot of different compounds, and that's the basis of like the food chain that they eventually build up in the aquarium. So it's like, and it's not really, I mean, it's not really a food chain. It's like the basis of like the, I guess like the microbiome environment. It's like you're building layers where like the bacteria has to be correct, and then like most aquariums, saltwater aquariums, they want to have worms in them, or like kind of other smaller organisms to kind of like make sure they add to that chemistry, if you will, that alchemy. Then we get all those elements correct, then you can put fish in, and then the fish in turn kind of like help everything else in the tank. And then you have to like feed the fish and stuff. So there's a lot of layers. It's so much more than like never had a tank, but did a few trains and raised small sharks. There's so many layers because it's like it's not just the animal you want to exhibit, but all like the I guess the ecology, like how like the abiotic elements in the tank building to make sure everything's okay. So it's wild. Freshwater tanks are a little easier because you don't have to worry about like chlorine as much, and it's just kind of easier. Like for people getting aquariums, freshwater is easier than saltwater. Yes, Rory, thank you. I knew I was forgetting something. Thank you. For the win. Plus, you need to keep track of the nitrate cycle. Yes. Oh my gosh. I forgot about that. So like I forget. Yeah, there's so many layers. Like that stuff. Like it's like you have to like really have a good log about what you're doing, because like little changes can actually spell doom for the aquarium. So like we had one year where we had a power outage at the high school aquarium thing, the high school aquarium project, and we had a massive die-off because of it, because like the power was like helping with the oxygen. When the power went out, we couldn't oxygenate the water, so it was awful. So another interesting thing is that if a fish gets sick, you have to have quarantine tanks. So you have to have a separate tank system where you can take the diseased fish and then put it and isolate it from your main display, so that the diseased fish can not contaminate the rest of its tank mates. So lots of moving parts, lots of pieces to aquariums. So yeah, it's interesting. Like there's like how many layers there are, but it's actually really cool as kind of a showcase of like how much goes into an ecosystem and how really delicate and balanced, or delicately balanced, an ecosystem is. So. Let's see. For the Coral Catshark, do not house with large. This is stuff I love. Do not house with large triggerfishes, angelfishes, wrasses, and pufferfishes, as they can pick on the shark and cause skin and/or eye damage. So interesting. So it's kind of cool to see. This is one thing that's interesting about aquariums. Is like you see the interplay of animals. My favorite one I've ever heard of is yielding with bull sharks. So if a bull shark is in a tank with other species like sand tiger sharks and sandbar sharks, those other species have to yield to a bull shark if like they are swimming towards each other. Almost every time the other sharks defer to the bull. I don't know why that is. But it is something kind of fascinating. Also, it's actually really cool because it lines up with like the bull shark's like notorious reputation. Because bull sharks are famously like dangerous and man-eaters and everything. But like, or not, I shouldn't say man-eaters because it's a little sensational. But like bull sharks are a dangerous species. I'll just leave it at that. But it's kind of amazing that like scientists did studies on just observing tank behavior, and sand tiger sharks and sandbar sharks. Whenever there was a behavioral pattern in which the sharks were swimming towards each other, the sand tiger sharks and the sandbar sharks would always get out of the way of the bull sharks, which is really, really fascinating to think about. There's been studies of sharks having hierarchies, believe bonnetheads have a social hierarchy driven by females, if I'm not mistaken. There's a female hierarchy with bonnetheads. There's another species, I can't remember who it is, but there's another species that has like a social, like a kind of like a tank hierarchy as well. So, but yeah, it's actually really cool to see. Do not house with large triggerfishes, angelfishes. Like, it's cool to see that, like, okay, these fish kind of mess with the cat shark, and that could happen in the wild. It might not. It might not happen in the wild. Like, that's a really good question. Is like, you know, if a cat shark is with triggerfishes, angelfishes, and wrasses in a tank, is that a forced experience? Is that a forced environment in which it's having this kind of collision with them? Or is that something that also happens in the wild? I kind of think it's the former, personally, because I can imagine the shark maybe gets away, but I don't know. Coral catsharks require a meaty diet, preferably live on grass shrimp, earthworms, and or crabs, and are chopped meaty foods such as fish flesh, shrimp, clams, scallops, and earthworms, and be fed 2 to 3 times weekly. Place food on a substrate near the specimen and will find it and suck it up. I love that sentence. Place food on the substrate near the specimen, it will find it and suck it up. That's what you could do to me with like cookies. Like, place cookies on the substrate near the Zac and it will find it and suck it up. So, anyway. For your information, we'll eat smaller tank mates. So, that's another fun fact. Like, it's actually pretty common with sharks of any kind. Sand tiger sharks famously eat their tank mates. Like, I know in the Virginia aquarium, I was talking to one of the aquarists who, they do have sand tigers there, and you know, they were telling me that like sometimes, you know, they have to check on the fish and do like little like check-ins as far as like how the fish's health is doing. They have a tally of all the fish in the tank, and then they look and it's like, oh, I can't find this fish. Where did it go? And then they realize, oh, the sand tiger shark ate it. So, yeah. Like, all the fish, they seem very peaceful in, like, the day that you visit the aquarium, but, like, you know, sharks will eat their tank mates, so, kind of really like that note for this guy. This is interesting. Very sensitive to copper. Therefore, aquarium water should be made with RO-DI processed water. I forget what RO means. DI, I believe that means deionized. Deionized water, because I remember we had to use that for our aquariums. So, spends a good portion of its time resting on the bottom. Experience level, expert. Temperament, aggressive. Diet, carnivore. Coral safe, yes. Fish safe, no. Invertebrate safe, no. Acclimation time, 30 minutes plus. That's actually pretty cool to see. So, acclimation time is the amount of time a fish needs in order to be like when you introduce a fish in an aquarium, you can't put it right in. It has to be in like a baggie or a box or something in the tank. It will be in the tank, but it has to be isolated from everything else. And it's part of, I think if I remember correctly, it's kind of part of its nervous system, or it's part of its like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I believe it's part of its stress level. There we go. Sorry, not nervous system, stress level, where it just needs some time to kind of readjust, just adjust to the water temperature, just adjust to the fact that it's in a new environment. But that's actually a pretty decent time. Like, that's not super long. So, aquarium environment, fish on the aquarium with caution. Tank mates, peaceful and too large to be eaten. Minimum tank size, 180 gallons. Temperature range, 72 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit, also 22 to 28 degrees Celsius. Specific gravity, I actually am not familiar with that term, so I'm not really familiar with what that is actually referring to. And then finally pH, which I mentioned earlier, 8.0 to 8.5. So, interesting. So yeah, so that kind of what goes into a coral cat shark. I am noticing Sphaerna lewini, which is the scalped hammerhead. So Roy, sand tiger shark. Who, me? Ninja Schlurp. Love those comments. So, oh my gosh. So, let's see. Sphaerna lewini. Scalloped hammerhead shark. I just want to take a look at this really quickly. It's not reef tank suitable, not suitable for a fish only tank. Just kind of curious. Oh, okay. Shown here for identification only. For your information, best left in the wild. Interesting. Let's see if we have. This is an interesting website. Let's see if we have. Can we do? I do want to see other sharks. Because I appreciate that they mentioned best left in the wild. Hammerhead sharks. Wow, that's actually. Oh, this is interesting. This is an interesting website. This is called Salt Corner. What's interesting is that I like this note of avoid. So the sharks that they're talking about aquariums, you have the bamboo sharks, the bullhead sharks. So these are like, that's a horn shark, Japanese bullhead shark, Port Jackson shark, the carpet sharks, epaulet sharks, the cat sharks, which are only 2, which is interesting. Hammerhead shark, avoid. Leopard shark, fine. Nurse sharks, avoid all nurse sharks. Requiem sharks, why is the oceanic white tip on here? That's a little crazy. An active species and only one public aquarium can properly maintain in captivity. I've never really heard of that. Interesting, because that's an open ocean species. That's a little wild. Whale shark. Avoid, of course, but famously these are in the Georgia Aquarium. So they are a plankton feeder and only suited for very large public aquariums where needs can be correctly provided. So, yeah. So Georgia Aquarium, which I've never been to, I should go at some point, famously has the whale sharks. I believe there's an aquarium in Japan that also has whale sharks as well. Woebegons. One of them is fine. Which one is this one? The tasseled woebegone is fine, but the other 2, not so much. So, all right, interesting. So we'll move on to. Oh, Howard, yes. Imagine the tank size. Yep. Let's see. Mondo, I'll check it out later. And thank you for sending it. There's a lot of information to cover tonight. So I do have a lot of tabs open for the Coral Catshark. So we'll focus on that tonight. But I'll take a look at it later, just to check it out. So thank you. Roy, blacktip reef shark. Let's go back. Yeah, because that should be on there. But it should be under the Requiem sharks, but it looks like they only have the oceanic white tip. But there's actually quite a few sharks missing on this website, now that I think about it, because there should be like the blacktip reef shark, black nose sharks, sandbar sharks, bonnetheads. It's quite a lot, actually. Bull sharks, I've heard of in aquariums. I've never seen one, but I've heard of them being in aquariums. I'm actually taking my girlfriend's advice and using tissues. Excuse me. As opposed to running away. That way you can hear me. It's a better solution. That was a good call. Anyway, so yeah, blacktip reef sharks should be on here because that's a really popular species. Oh, hey, the zebra shark, Stegossoma fasciatum. Interesting. Not reef tank suitable. Not suitable for a fish only tank. For your information, public aquarium species, because these are famously in the Baltimore Aquarium. So interesting. All right, so we have I've got these studies on the Coral Catshark arranged by time, or by date of publication. I think we did check out everything else, so let's go ahead and take a look. So the egg capsule of the Coral Catshark. This is from. This is 2000 somewhere. This is 2011, I think. Anyway. And I guess this is the first mention of the Catshark eggs, so let's take a look. Until recently, the only information on the egg capsules of Atelomycterus species was taken from eggs removed from the uteri of specimens of the first two species. In 1998 and 2000, eggs released by captive specimens of the Coral Catshark from respectively the aquarium of the University of Liège in Belgium, I apologize if I'm not saying that, and the aquarium of Núcleo de Estudo e Pesquisa em Condrictes in Sao Paulo, Brazil, became available. Since the few existing data on the egg capsules of Atelomycterus species are confusing, the egg capsules of the Coral Catshark is described, depicted, and compared to those of the other two Atelomycterus species. So here is the Coral Catshark egg capsule. One thing that you notice immediately is that, and I'm kind of comparing it to a chain cat shark, you have this kind of interesting indentation here, then like the main body of the egg, and then another indentation in the back. So this is a very unique shape. The chain cat shark has just a very smooth egg, but that's actually kind of interesting. Vestibular and truncate without tendrils, posterior and notched with horns bearing tendrils. There we go. Body of egg capsule with two constricted waists. That's what I was trying to describe. So we won't spend too much time on this, but yeah, we won't spend too much time on this, but this is an important study for identification of what the eggs look like. So let's see. Minjas, thank you. Allergies suck. Yep, they do. It's been killing me this year. I'm usually pretty good about them, but don't know what's going on. So. Atelomycterus marmoratus, the Coral Catshark. This is from, I think, an identification guide. So here we go. We'll just kind of scan through the description. Ooh, I like that. Adults and adolescents with marbled appearance, head and body of numerous light gray and white spots, saddles obsolete. Juveniles darker, head and body dark gray, with pale vertical lines, black spots, and with pale margins along dorsal body. Tropical Indo-West Pacific from Pakistan to New Guinea, southern China, we don't know that. A common inshore bottom dweller, often found in crevices and holes on rocky reefs. Oviparous, feed mainly on bony fishes, marketed fresh, or as fillets in fish markets of Sabah. Interesting. This is a really great view, really good view of male specimen, where you can kind of see just how the fins actually like all play, or like how the body shape kind of all comes together and plays together. Rounded pectoral fins, kind of squared off pelvic fins, rounded but triangular dorsal fins, and then like an anal fin as well, and then kind of like a nice, what's the right word for that? Kind of like a rectangular, like kind of like a wedge, like not a wedge. I'm trying to find the right word for it, but like. I really like that there's a really apparent diversity of fin shapes, like rounded, squared, triangular, and almost like a single lobe as far as like the caudal fin goes. So, and it's kind of cool because some sharks kind of have a uniform fin shape as far as like big triangles or little triangles, but this species has actually really unique looking fins, both in shape and size. So it's really cool to see, or shape and function, I should say. Alright, here we go. Some more aquarium stuff. Keeping and breeding of the Coral Catshark at the aquarium of Cologne Zoo, Haltung, and... Oh, this is German, right? I should know this, because I'm... Actually, no, I shouldn't. I don't speak German. My dad used to speak German. Because, like... Ironically, he's not German. My mom is part German. I'm, I guess, part German. Here we go. I should know this. Keeping and breeding the Coral Catshark, Atelomycterus marmoratus, at the aquarium of the Cologne Zoo, Haltung und Nachschutz de Coral Catshark, Atelomycterus marmoratus, im Aquarium des Kölner Zoos. I probably butchered that. Coral Catshark are kept at the aquarium of Cologne Zoo in a public exhibit tank measuring 300 by 160 and 110. We don't need to do measurements. The adults have been producing fertilized eggs since early 2010. Deposited eggs are longish, oval in shape, with a length of about 10 centimeters. Juveniles hatch in our rearing tanks after periods of 4 to 6 months. That's actually really, that's a very short window of time. Juveniles hatch in our rearing tanks after 4 to 6 months. Wow. That's a very, for sharks, I feel like it's a very, well, I was going to say that's a very short reproductive cycle for sharks, but I guess I'm not really taking into account, like, at fertilization, how much time are the eggs retained in the mother's body before they are laid? So, the total reproductive time, let's see if let's just take a look. Because I'm kind of curious, I'm a bit curious about this now. Is this sharkreferences.com? Oh, this is a cool shot of the teeth. Very small but mighty, beautiful, like, trident teeth, like tricuspid teeth. Those are really nice, actually. But yeah, I never really, this sounds so dumb, I never really thought about that before, where if egg-laying sharks mate, then fertilization happens inside the body of the female shark, and she would still have to produce an egg. So that would take X amount of time inside her body, and then the eggs are laid. And then there's X amount of time of the eggs developing. So, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. Allergies are ridiculous. Let's see if IUCN... Sometimes IUCN Redlist has biology notes. I'm just kind of curious about this. I won't spend too much time on this. Threats. These are threats. Habitat and ecology in detail. Interesting. Cat sharks are difficult to age, and the most reliable age estimates to date are from the blacktip sawtail cat shark. Coral Catshark has similar longevity, about 20 years in captivity. Interesting. But I don't think it shows reproduction, like reproduction notes, so... Ooh, Mondrimondo, awesome. Awesome comment. I like how the dorsal fins are placed so far back, making them look longer and serpentine. Yeah, love that too. It's really cool to see. Oh, Mingus, yeah. Look like sea snakes with little legs, yeah. And thank you. Yeah, it's so funny. Like we've talked about egg-laying sharks for a while, and I can't believe I never thought about that before in terms of like how long it takes inside the body. So, let's see. I'll just kind of scan through this. Coral Catshark can be distinguished from the other species in the genus by its general color pattern that is dominated by dark brown spots and markings. Numerous light gray and white spots on the head, body, and fins, a strongly defined white stripe through the gill slits, and the presence of elongated, narrow claspers. Interesting. Let's take another look at the species. Oh, look at that! You're right. This is really grainy, but they're talking about this white stripe. So there's a white stripe through the gills, so that's one way you can tell the species apart. That's actually really cool. And then you actually can see this here for males. Those are very long, spindly looking claspers. So usually claspers, as far as the shark body goes, are a bit like thicker and shorter. So that's actually pretty interesting. So, but the white stripe is better because that could be used for both males and females. So let's see. Within the Atelomycterus, that's a beautiful word actually, Atelomycterus catshark species, the coral catshark has the widest recorded geographical range. This species is found throughout the Indo-Pacific region from India and Pakistan through Vietnam. Yeah, we know the range, but it's cool that it's the largest though. Coral catshark is a common inhabitant of coral reefs up to 15 meters of water depth. The species is crepuscular to nocturnal. The daytime is spent hidden in caverns and crevices. Its main diet consists of shrimps and other invertebrates. Smaller fishes are only occasionally captured. Although coral catsharks are frequently kept in home aquaria, breeding reports are rare or at least difficult to access. Thus, we like to report here about the successful keeping and breeding of the species at the aquarium of the Cologne Zoo, in particular as the conservation status of this attractive catshark is classified as near threatened, while the population status still remains unknown. Interesting. For the keeping of coral catsharks, we enlarged the public exhibit tank at the aquarium of the Cologne Zoo towards the keeper's workspace in 2007. Talk about how the new enclosure is bigger. 3 juveniles were added to the tank, which were purchased in October 2006 and been kept under quarantine conditions for several weeks. Captive breeding of coral catsharks. Coral catsharks are oviparous, and which means egg-laying, and the purse-shaped eggs are usually laid pairwise. In the beginning, we only found unfertilized eggs. Oh, most probably because individuals had not yet reached sexual maturity. According to Meyer and Faltermeyer, sexual maturity is reached at 50 centimeters of body length. Fertilized eggs were finally found for the first time in the exhibit tank in early 2010. Collected eggs had a longish oval shape with lengths approximately 10 centimeters. Interesting. In summary, the keeping and breeding of coral catsharks can be evaluated as uncomplicated. Juveniles can be kept together for a while, but we suggest to keep adult males only with 1 or more females, but no other males. Interesting. We still find, so I'm assuming the males don't like each other. That's pretty interesting. We still find fertilized eggs in our public exhibit tank on a regular basis. Accordingly, offspring will hopefully be available from the Cologne Zoo Aquarium in the future. So far, we only had very few fatal casualties among our juveniles. Interesting. Cool. I really do enjoy these aquarium notes. They're very interesting to see. I think I've talked about my fish behavior stories before, but I've had black sea bass be completely chill and not care that you're in their space at all. Pufferfish are usually very curious. I've had pufferfish always look up, at me or to me. Even in the wild, they're always very curious. Hake, which are related to cod, are always hungry. They're the first to want food. Some fish, like the goosefish, which is like an anglerfish, you actually have to play a game with it where it's not, if you put food in front of it, it won't necessarily eat it. You have to kind of stimulate it where you wiggle the food in front of it, and the anglerfish will actually throw its angler out and kind of play the game, and then it eventually snaps the food up. So, which is really good. It's actually really good for the animal because you engage it. You need to give, if you are doing a zoo or an aquarium, you have to give animals stimulus. You have to kind of keep things always different every day, or you have to introduce new stimuli, to kind of keep the environment complex, and that kind of helps keep the animal healthy. So I'm trying to think of other ones. I think those are the main ones, but this wasn't my aquarium, but I got bit by a sergeant major. It's a very small little fish that is very feisty. I don't know. I guess the biggest thing I've learned in aquariums from my own experience is that fish have personalities. They all might look different, but seemingly act the same when you visit an aquarium. But if you spend more time with them, you see their personalities emerge, and you see that they can be some could be jerks, some could be feisty, some could be passive, some can be just I shouldn't say social, but just kind of curious. It's pretty interesting to see. No, I don't care. So, silence the ads. Here is an FAO guide. So, love the FAO guides. They're so helpful. So, oh, cool. Mingus, there's always a chance that they act different in the wild, but the stories are still nice to hear since it feels like the closest we'll get to knowing of how some of these species live their lives. Yes. Okay. Oh yeah. The ad ruined the moment. Yes. I agree. That's all of our YouTube experiences, isn't it? And we need the ads, of course, to kind of keep channels going and stuff. But at the same time, it's they're irritating as all get out, and they've gotten so much worse. Like I did not realize that they were halcyon days where there's only one ad and that's it, you know, like per video. So if at all. So do you remember those days actually, like where you can actually watch like 5 videos and there'll only be like one ad sometimes? So those are great days. The early 10s. Oh my gosh. Anyway, but I love that comment. There's always a chance that they act different in the wild, but the stories are still nice to hear since it feels like the closest we'll get to knowing is how some species live their lives. I wholeheartedly agree. It's really cool to see behavior that you couldn't really get because you can't really afford to like logistically and financially. It's just really impossible to go back to the same site every single day and think you could run into the same fish and really like understand what it's doing. I mean, there can be long-term behavioral studies, but I will say like an interesting benefit of public aquariums is that you have the opportunity to observe animals, you know, like those like quirks come out, those behaviors come out, and it is kind of insightful in its own way. So yeah, back when the most you get in an ad is a corner of the entire site. Yeah. Do you know what's been really bad, by the way? Sorry, totally different topic, but like I would say most news websites, even big ones, like even really big ones, they almost crash because they're running so many junk ads. Like there's so much like just stuff everywhere that like you can barely scroll down the page because it's like that particular site is just like running so much junk at once, and you're trying to read your article. So oh I didn't realize there was a character limit in the comments. So but yeah, that made total sense to me, your comment. So sorry, excuse me. This is so bad. Fun trivia, fun lore. On the second stream I've ever did, which I think that was the Dusky Smoothhound, because like the first couple streams on his channel, like the Bull Shark and the Dusky Smoothhound, I think I was like talking to the Void, which like I knew that was going to be the first couple of Dr. Jaws live streams because it was brand new. Like there's no way you can expect an audience like right from the get-go, you know, per se. And so I just kind of like talked about those sharks and was passionate about those, and I really enjoyed just kind of like talking about it. But the second one, I also had a cold or something and like just snot everywhere really briefly. I think I was pretty smooth about it, but like it's on camera somewhere, so just deep cut. The lore of Dr. Jaws. There's a snot stream. It's terrible, but anyway, it happens. It happens. So, all right. FAO guide for the Coral Catshark. So one thing I love about the FAO guide. So this is the FAO of the United Nations. They publish these really great regional guides for areas around the world. They'll include the local names. So local names is for this particular guide is, and actually let's go back to the top to see where we are because I can always control find the shark later. Pakistan. Okay, field identification guide to living marine sources of Pakistan. Here we go. Okay, let's go back to the shark. So Kori is a local name. Tiki Pishi is, I love that name. Tiki Pishi is also a local name for the coral cat shark. English name is the coral cat shark. The French name is Chien Coral, if I'm saying that right. I don't know. Habitat inshore and coral reefs, and I'm assuming it means thought to inhabit crevices and holes on reefs. Let's talk about the identification. Anal fin smaller than dorsal fin. Second dorsal fin about as large as the first. Really beautiful drawing here, and you can actually see that distinctive feature, the white stripe through the gills. So there you go. So that's the way you could tell the species apart from others. I'm quite curious. Let's take a look at sharks of Pakistan. just for fun, let's just see what sharks live in Pakistan. So we'll start kind of from the bottom and go into deep water in a little bit. Here we go, Pakistani sharks. Here we go. We got the great hammerhead, classic, awesome species. The scout hammerhead, one of my favorites. The winghead sharks, really? That's crazy. Wait a minute, Yusfara blotchii, the winghead shark is in Pakistan. I forget if we taught, because like, I thought that was just an Australian species. Because we, and I could be getting confused because a lot of the papers that we had were from Australia. Hold on. I have to know this now. Yusfara blotchii. Oh my gosh, I got that wrong. I'm so sorry, because like when we were talking about the winghead shark, a lot of the studies that we were focusing on, because they were really cool, like conservation studies, were based in Australia. But I forgot that the winghead shark actually has a pretty huge range. So there you go. All right, interesting. So that's a fun surprise. White tip reef shark, spade nose shark. That one's really cool. By the way, it's 10:30, so please let me know, or 10:30 Eastern time. So let me know in the comments a shark that you would like to cover next week. So time to add the second watch party. Yeah, it's time to add the second watch party. Love that. Yeah, Tiki Pishi. I do like Tiki Pishi. It does look like a Tiki Pishi. But please let me know in the comments what shark you'd like to do next week. As we kind of go through these Pakistani species, there might be one that stands out. So, spade nose shark, the gray sharp nose shark, Rhizoperodon oligolynx. Interesting. The milk shark, Rhizoperodon acutus. I got a really nice comment about the milk shark today. A viewer was thanking me for that stream because they were actually studying the milk shark for their, I think they were doing a scientific drawing project. So they really appreciated that, which is really cool. Really appreciate that. Blue shark, classic species. Sicklefin lemon shark, an awesome species. It was one of our earlier streams. The slit-eye shark, Loxodon macrorinus. Interesting. It's a very odd-looking shape. Very, very thin, pretty large dorsal fin. The broadfin shark. This one's cool. Lemniopsis taminkii. That kind of almost looks like a Ganges shark. So that's actually really... it almost looks like a cross between like a Ganges shark and a lemon shark. That's pretty cool. Oh, Ganges shark. There it is. Ganges shark is here. It's wild. Glyphis gangeticus, one of the most critically endangered shark species. Tiger shark. Spot-tail shark. Carcharodonta. The sandbar shark, classic. The black-tip reef shark, one of our favorites. The hard-nosed shark, Carcharodonta malcoti. Interesting. Oceanic white-tip shark, another classic. Black tip shark, Carcharodonta lymbatus, beautiful species. The bull shark, I mean, you know, iconic. The Pondicherry shark, Carcharodonta hemiodon, another, like, this shark might be extinct. It's right up there with the lost shark as being one of the rarest sharks in the world. So Pondicherry shark is another, like, potentially extinct species. It's not declared extinct yet, but it's incredibly rare, really rare to find. Silky shark, beautiful shark. The white cheek shark, this is cool. Carcharodonta dusumyari. Also, like, we haven't even left Carcharodonta, and there's quite a lot of species in Pakistan. So, spinner shark, pig eye shark, famously closely resembling bull sharks, just a little different. Graceful shark. Carcharodonta amblyrancioides. That's a... I don't know much about graceful sharks, actually. Big nose shark. That's a fun one. Carcharodonta ultimus. The snaggletooth shark. Howard Care. Hemiprisus elongata. Awesome species. Hooktooth shark. Kinogaleus macrostoma. That's actually really cool. I'm monitoring the comments. Oh, okay. Has a wingtip been done? White tip. Wingtip. Okay, hard-nosed shark with a hard nose, and have you done episode? So we've done white tip reef sharks, cherry flavored sharks. Smile. Let's see. So okay, so hard nose, Pondicherry shark. Let's see. I don't think we've done either one of those. Let's go back. We can go back to those. So hard-nosed shark, to answer your question, Minges, I don't know. I actually... So here's the Pondicherry shark. Yeah, this is not going to talk about behavior, is it? But it's going to be like coastal, continental, insular shelves. Barkley, fun name. Local name. Let's take a look at the hard-nosed shark. Inshore and offshore continental waters. I'm cool for either one of these. I think the hard-nosed shark. I think we should vote on it. And here's kind of my guesses. Oh, Pondicherry. So here's kind of my guesses on how these can go. I think I'm gonna guess that the hard-nosed shark will have more material. There's probably going to be like more material as far as like footage and information, but the Pondicherry shark is going to be, it's going to be a lot like the lost shark, where it's like that's a very good center of like the most extreme conservation discussion, because like, you know, Pondicherry shark is one of the most endangered sharks in the world. One of the rarest, most critically endangered sharks. So I would say the Pondicherry shark is going to be kind of more like the lost shark stream, where we'll probably talk about conservation more in general. The hard-nosed shark probably going to be more like, if we can get footage on it, you know, kind of more classic. So, yeah. So I think Minges votes hard-nosed. Roy and it sounds like Howard vote Pondicherry. So it's 2-1. Mondo, if you're still watching, do you have a vote for next week's species? And if anybody else is watching, I see we have a couple viewers. Please let me know if you have a vote for next week's species. I think we have two good contenders, so we'll just kind of breeze through this. We were on hook-tooth shark. The Arabian smoothhound. Oh, I love that name. Muscleless Moses. Interesting shark. All right. The lowfin hound shark. Iago. Beautiful names. Also, I freaked out for a second. I thought that those arrows really quickly were like a single dorsal fin. I just scrolled too quickly. The big eye hound shark. Iago omanensis. Very cool. Love the name Iago. Coral Catshark. This is interesting, by the way. Notice this. The Coral Catshark is the only cat shark at all in Pakistan. That's actually pretty fascinating, isn't it? There's no other scaleronid, no other cat shark in Pakistan. It's pretty interesting. The whale shark, who could forget that? The tawny nurse shark, with its like really sharp falcate fins. The zebra shark, classic. Slender bamboo shark. The grand bamboo shark, beautiful patterns. Arabian carpet shark. The long fin mako. Short fin mako, makes sense. These are very cosmopolitan species. Big eye thresher. Pelagic thresher, that's actually a cool one. The crocodile shark. So far, by the way, on the channel, crocodile shark is leading. As far as like the streams with the most views, the crocodile shark one is actually the winner so far. I think it's just hitting the algorithm right, but people don't seem to be interested in that one. So, excuse me. So sorry. So flattering. The sand tiger shark. We don't have great whites in Pakistan. Interesting. Did not realize that. The Oman bullhead shark. Very, very wise-looking cousin of the Port Jackson shark. He looks quite pensive in that drawing. The bramble shark. And that's it. But that's a really robust, that's actually really interesting. Pakistan has a very interesting shark distribution where it's a very robust very biodiverse collection of sharks. And it's heavy carchariniforms, like super, super heavy carchariniforms. So that's actually really interesting to see. Very great. Love that last night. Roll with one for shark. That would be me. Let's do Ponticherry shark this week, and then let's do hard-nosed shark next week. So I gotta write that down. So Ponticherry hard-nosed. So next week is Ponticherry shark. Let me get the name right. I love that name, by the way, Ponticherry shark. But it's sad that it's with like a species that is very, very close to extinction. Literally, first thing I Google, it's the Ponticherry shark. Even on Wikipedia, it says Ponticherry shark is an extremely rare species of requiem shark. So yeah, Carcharinus hemiodon. Ooh, Roy, Pakistan fossil assemblage is diverse. Very cool. I'm sorry, Howard. I'm so sorry, Howard. Howard Kerr, Pakistan fossil assemblage is diverse. So, question on that, by the way, for the Pakistan fossil assemblage, do you know the details as far as like what the distribution is like? Because do you like as far as like the different orders and like some sharks that seem to be more common than others? Because I'm trying to think of the range. I would say the southeastern United States, you have a pretty strong lambda-form presence in the Oligocene. You have things like Atotus, which is like a really like, it's like the ancestor of like large macropredatory sharks. And then when you get to the Miocene, you do have this explosion of diversity. So Miocene deposits in the southeastern United States have a lot of different kinds of sharks, like angel sharks, hammerheads, lemon sharks, white sharks, tiger sharks, bull sharks. Really beautiful variation. Snaggletooths, they do have snaggletooths too. So I'm kind of curious if there's something, if you know anything about the Pakistan fossil assemblage, please let me know in the comments, because like I'm very curious to hear what that is like. Excuse me, I'm so sniffly tonight. Oh my gosh. So yeah, Ponticherry shark and hard-nosed shark. So that's going to be in the next 2 weeks. Ooh, Howard, I regularly get papers published from their mostly Miocene and Eocene material. Interesting. I love, by the way, kind of like as far as the story of sharks go, for, I believe the case study was the Mediterranean. But I think you can make an argument that it's a global thing, where back in the Oligocene, I want to say, it was a lamniform shark world. So these are the ancestors of white sharks and mako sharks. And like, I guess like, Megalodon and stuff, like that was kind of like their ocean. And then once you get to the Miocene, you have this this might be the Mediterranean specifically, but you have this incredible radiation of carchariniforms. Like carchariniforms starts to take over as the dominant group of sharks. And it's kind of amazing to see that today, if you did split the sharks up in different orders, I mean, by far, Carchariniforms is the most speciose. Like, that's like 200 sharks. It's kind of amazing. Like on the one hand, I kind of think it's inappropriate to think of like a dominant order. But on the other hand, it's kind of fascinating to see, like, well, the Carchariniforms have diversified so much, and they're very successful compared to the other orders. So it's pretty interesting to see that. So, because case in point, we are, I mean, but I guess primates is a very diverse order, because that includes like monkeys and things. So, and there's a lot of monkeys. I don't know. So, because I was about to say, like, humans are like just one family. So that's not biodiverse, but then primates as an order is really biodiverse. I don't know, I'm losing them. So, we have a couple minutes left, so we want to finish up with some shark studies. Husbandry of tropical benthonic sharks, first step to developing breeding control protocols with conservation purpose. Here we go. In the IUCN list, Chilascalium punctatum, Chilascalium griseum, and Atelomycterus marmoratus are classified as near-threatened species. Information on their biology are strongly lacking, and bad human behavior associated to irregular fishing practice constitutes sufficient conditions to seriously endanger them in a next future. Interesting writing. For all these reasons, species like these could take advantage by research and studies apt to develop protocols for correct husbandry and for controlled breeding with the aim to protect global biodiversity. Species above mentioned answer to life in captivity, showing a positive growth rate consisting in a good correlation in biometric data, and so leading to suitable growth models for correct protocols in the future. Next steps should consist in controlled breeding. Interesting. Okay. I just want to look at some notes on the coral catshark. So among the species considered, coral catshark is the least known, and bycatches and exploitation data are poor. But not for these reasons, it should be considered the least threatened by the same invasive practices. Many shark species common in public aquaria are not studied and as deserved, and most importantly, natural stocks of conspecifics have been drastically reduced. I'm so sorry. I don't want to be mean, but like this is the writing is not that good. Because I'm seeing two ofs. So it's a little. This paper's a little janky to read. For all these reasons, the development of protocols for sharks breeding can be very important for reducing fisheries pressure on natural stocks, and for conservation purposes. Where is this from? University of Cadiz, Spain. Medcrave, Step in the World's Research. Journal of Aquaculture and Marine Biology. Interesting. Yeah, I'm so sorry. This is just a lot of grammatical mistakes here. But anyway, I do like the point, though, that they're talking about, they're talking about, like, even if a shark is popular in aquariums, that may not necessarily correlate to its abundance. And a big one for me are sand tiger sharks, which are super popular in aquariums in America, but that's a critically endangered species. That is a species that is not doing well, and that could probably benefit from a captive breeding program. So let's see. Yep, I think we'll move on to the next paper. And I apologize. I don't want to sound like a jerk, but that was tripping me up a little bit. It's not good writing, so yeah. I mean, just if it weren't for the year, I'd be worried about AI. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I thought I saw something. Oh man, this is gonna bother me. I thought I saw something that was like AI made and was like really. No, okay. So there's a new. I'm not well versed on what happened. There's a new Disney movie that I think was written by AI. It's the Wish movie, which I heard it was really not good. So, and I think it was written by AI or something like that. I forget. There's something about that movie. By the way, complete tangent. I love Disney. Disney's amazing, but it's kind of amazing how they handled the Disney 100. 100 years of Disney, and I think there were like 4 movies that they released that all underperformed in the box office, and it was like it's a little bit of a not good year for them, and it was their 100th anniversary, so it's really a shame because I genuinely love actually, you know what, kind of fun trivia. So I genuinely love Disney quite a lot, and my dad actually used to work for Disney, so he was kind of more in sales, but I actually have on my desk, let's see if I can put it on the camera, his old pin. So this is a Mickey Mouse pin holder, and there's his pin in the back. So this is what he had to wear for his old job at Disney. So I have a lot of veneration for Disney. Very much love them. You know, and just like, it's kind of sad that the Disney 100 was not handled as well as it could have been, probably. And, you know, part of that was Wish. Wish was this new movie that came out, and I'm pretty sure I heard it was like assisted by AI or something. So sorry, Minjas, your comment reminded me of that. So just like, I'm pretty sure AI was a part of that whole thing. So, and also part of the reason it was not so good. So, oh my gosh, diversity occurrence and conservation of sharks in the southern China Sea. We'll probably just kind of skim through this. And I think we'll just kind of hop over to our shark. Coral Catshark is inshore coral reefs. Same thing, lives in crevices and holes. This is kind of part of a bigger study. It's not really Catshark focused. This one is, though. This is the last one. We actually, it's been the first time in a while since we've gone to like the last paper, which I'm really happy about. So, reproductive biology of coral catshark in Seribu Islands, Indonesia. So, hey, oh, awesome, yeah. Like I said at the top of the stream, welcome Indonesia to our chat. So, and welcome Indonesia, the country, to our awesome board of our flag of nations. We have United States, Canada, and Indonesia now officially. So this is super cool. Nice way to end for tonight. So, let's see. Abstract. This study provides information on the reproductive biology of the coral catshark caught in the waters around Seribu Islands, Indonesia. A total of 257 coral catsharks were collected from February 2017 to January 2018. The total length of the coral catsharks range from 170 to 585 millimeters for females and 255 to 575 millimeters for males. The total mass of females range from 85 to 640 grams and males from 100 to 620 grams. The sex ratio between females and males was 0.45, and it was not significantly different from the expected 1-to-1 ratio. The growth pattern of coral catsharks in Seribu Island was negatively allometric, and mature sharks dominated the population. The mean size at first maturity was estimated to be 557 millimeters for females and 514 millimeters for males, based on relationship between the proportion between maturity stage and total length. The ovulation season was estimated to occur from October to March, whereas September to April is mating season, based on monthly variations of gonadosomatic index values and the occurrence of egg cases in the uterus. Interesting. It's kind of, you know, adorable to think about, or not adorable, but it's like, it's kind of cool to devote like a whole study and a whole paper to like this very adorable species, and to kind of learn more about its biology. So here we go again. It's really cool to see this pattern now where, or not this pattern, but like, I love like for shark identification, this goes for all sharks. I love that there's that trick. Like there's that one detail that you can learn that helps you hone in on the species. And for this, it's the white stripe across the gill slits. So love seeing that in every photo we've seen since of the coral catshark. Like I love seeing that that's kind of like the defining feature to help identify that species. So, kind of lurid. It's kind of more details on reproduction, so we don't need to go to that in detail because it's just a little too much for a Monday night. I do want to see kind of like, this is interesting. I do want to see graphs like this. So sorry. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. So this is actually pretty amazing. Percentage of maturity. So in February, you can see there's a lot of immature sharks in the dark gray bar. A couple of mature sharks, and then like the light gray is maturing, so kind of intermediate stage. March, mostly adults. April, mostly adults. May, all adults. June and July, a couple of immature sharks, and then August, September, all adults. October, November, December, January, a fluctuation of immature individuals. It's a pretty interesting graph, actually. So it's kind of fascinating to see that April, May, August, and September, these are times a year where there's no immature individuals sighted whatsoever. I probably don't have time to go into detail, but I'm kind of curious about like seasons as far as tropical areas function differently than temperate areas, where there's like a wet season, dry season, or there could be like multiple seasons. It's not the 4 seasons. It's different depending on what part of the world. And I actually, off the top of my head, am not exactly sure how many exist in certain places and like what they really are. I'm familiar with wet season, dry season, which is different from like spring, summer, fall, winter. But point being, it's kind of interesting seeing April, May, September, and August are just these 2 blocks without any immature sharks. So it's kind of fascinating to see. Another percentage of maturity chart. Similar pattern. December is missing immature individuals as well. So. Yeah, we probably don't have time to go through the whole discussion, but our suggestion is the ovulation and mating season show that there is a reproduction isolation or time lag between mating and ovulation for coral catsharks. However, further examination is needed for ensuring this hypothesis. More information on behavior and strategy of reproduction of coral catshark are also required for determining the best fisheries management of the species. Interesting. Okay. So. Oh, sorry, a lot of comments. Let me make sure. Yes, so interesting comment. So Midges, I've had similar issues with papers from non-English speaking countries. I think it's something to do with the authors not speaking it and the translation being done by a third party. I could be wrong. So interesting comment, because I've run into that too. One thing that I think is good to keep in mind is some countries, some countries. Actually, I have to think about this, because like there's one country in particular that comes to mind. I don't want to name it, but like there is one country that, now that I think about it, it does speak English, but the syntax is completely different, where it just feels different. It feels like a little, like, to my eyes, it reads as kind of like almost immature, or kind of like flowery, or not really scientific. But one thing to keep in mind is that actually could be a cultural difference. That could be kind of like, well, by that country's standards, and it's not necessarily better or worse standards. It literally can be like a cultural difference, where it's like Americans kind of like write in a certain way, and then other countries write in a different way, and that actually could be just like a genuine, valid like difference. So what seems as kind of odd to my eyes is actually probably very normal, as far as like scientific writing goes, in other cultures. So just one thing to keep in mind, as far as other countries, because like the country that I am thinking of specifically is English speaking, and like I've noticed across like all the papers that I've read, all the shark papers that I've read from that country, a similar pattern of like the writing just throws me off, and it seems so strange to me, but it's very consistent amongst different authors, and it is like kind of like the national level of research. So for me, it's kind of like, okay, this is kind of a cultural thing. This is not really a skill thing. This is like a cultural thing, and it's like it's just a different mindset. So for non-English speaking countries, it's tricky, because like there's some that have I've run into a couple of like odd translations. I will say that particular one that we saw was really bad. I'm really sorry. I don't want to sound like a jerk, but it's like that one was particularly kind of rough, because that was also like an editing issue. Like there was like duplicate words, and like that was a little rough. So Howard, good point. Sorry. The problem with captive breeding is, how do you reintroduce species to the wild when their habitat has disappeared? It's an excellent point. Especially for sharks that are habitat sensitive, like coral catshark. Right now, even though it's near threatened, coral reefs are in danger, and coral reefs are highly sensitive habitats. So reef dwelling species that have nowhere else to go, that's that's a big concern. For sand tiger sharks specifically, their habitat is okay, but their reproductive cycle is not. Where they have the infamous like interuterine cannibalism. So it's like you only have 2 pups per litter, and that's very low in the face of fishing pressure. But what you mentioned is an excellent point as far as like species with very high site fidelity, where if they're used to an aquarium environment and then you reintroduce them in the wild, where do they go? So, Roy, Wish isn't made by AI, but it's painfully mediocre. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. White striped warp shark, new name I made up. Oh my gosh. No worries. I don't want to say the country. I don't want to say the country. Oh, and no, like, oh my gosh, love you guys. Oh, that's hilarious. Like, I don't want to say the country just because, like, I think it would be disrespectful. It's not a country on our flag board. It's. I will not say the country because it's just disrespectful. I just will say, because when I was writing the Bull Shark Compendium, I read papers from like around the world as far as like trying to get material on bull sharks, and I noticed patterns, and that was one of those patterns, and it was just interesting to see. And it was a really good lesson in cultural differences where like kind of reminds me. It's exactly like gestures, where there's some gestures where, like in America, the middle finger is not a good gesture at all. Versus, I think the thumbs up in certain places is equally insulting. In America, it's totally fine. Thumbs up is like, good job, or it's a scuba signal for go up. But in other parts of the world, it's very insulting. So that's kind of like what it is to me, where it's like it's just interesting to see that it's like a cultural difference in a lot of cases. So, but Howard, yes, sounds like evolution at work. Sand tiger, yes. So, and it's kind of one thing that's kind of fascinating. I know, like, we're close to the end, but one thing that's kind of fascinating to think about, and I think about this with literal tigers, like the literal animal tiger, where there's more captive tigers in North America than there are wild tigers in their natural habitat, which is really heartbreaking. But one kind of wild thing to think about is how human captivity or human intervention impacts the species outlook. And it's like humans have destroyed like the habitat, or like are over harvesting. In the case of sand tiger sharks, they're over harvesting them, and then you have captive breeding programs which might be helping them, but it's ultimately it's kind of humanity's fault that they're in that state to begin with. And it's just kind of wild to think about. So sorry. And it's actually kind of like on a global perspective, it's amazing to think about how we've impacted the environment already, as far as we live in a post-mammoth world. We live in a post, Irish elk world. Oh, what's up? Hey guys, go up the video. Go up the video? What's up? I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I'm, go up the video. Sorry, Roy, I just want to make sure I'm understanding. Oh. 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 Sorry. Oh, it's Monday. That went way over my head. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna star that. I'm gonna star that. Good job. But yeah, our active hand in shaping nature's outcome, as far as like we live in a post-mammoth world, a post-Irish elk world. For animals like the dodo or like the thylacine, it kind of feels like, oh, that's an unfortunate thing, but that's like a one. Like when I was growing up, I always kind of felt like, oh, that's like an unfortunate thing, but that's like a one and done. Like that's like one extinction, and we've learned better or something like that. And the reality is, like, it's kind of amazing to think about, like, oh no, I'm born into a world that's already highly impacted. As far as we are very removed in most places, not all places. But in most places, we are very removed from the natural setting. I think I've talked about how in Virginia there used to be wolves, bison, mastodon. You can find mastodon teeth in like fossil deposits. These animals used to live here. Now we live in a completely different world where it's, you do have extinction of large fauna. You do have predator release with the extinction of wolves, leading to overpopulation of deer. A big one that's kind of interesting is for temperate North American forests, especially like East Coast forests, we are overdue for a wildfire. Our forests naturally need, like, I have to use the word need kind of lightly, but our forests do have a natural fire regime that, fire is destructive, but it does release nutrients back into the forest, and you do get new growth from that release. So it actually, like, fire is kind of like a natural process that is very healthy. Understandably, we are like, no, we don't want that. We do not want fire at all. Let's control that. And that's a good thing, because we're keeping people safe and houses safe and everything. But it does have an impact where it's like nature is not used to that kind of control. So it is kind of fascinating to think about that perspective of how much we've already impacted things already, and excuse me, and it's a trade-off because there's like beneficial positive things from our impact in terms of like we really don't want wolves to eat our kids, or like we really don't want fires to burn down our houses. We really do like the convenience of roads and things, like, so. And we are also animals, as far as like we do have a right to live and we have a right to exist, but the mass of humanity and like the scope of it and like how many humans there are and how much of the impact is, it's we're actively shaping like the destinies of other animals, and like in such a incredible way. And I'm using the word incredible as in like, I'm just gonna say like terrifying. Like terrifying is probably a better word in terms of like you could interpret that like it's like, I guess, terrifying. I don't mean that like in a fear-mongering way, but kind of more like it's the scale is astounding. So when it comes to sharks, you have like the sand tiger shark, the impact of sand tiger sharks. The very idea, now that I'm thinking about it out loud, the very idea of like a husbandry program being kind of the thing that saves a shark, it's like, well, but saves it from what? It's saving it from us. So it's like we're the saviors of our own problem. And it's kind of like, yeah, it's like Howard said, we are not great at fixing nature. Another infamous example is introducing species to predate other species. We've done stuff like that before, and it is mostly not worked. I can't remember which animal it was, but there was like, what did we do? Like this was like in the 50s or 60s. There's this whole thing about there was like a bug affecting crops, and so we introduced like an animal to eat the bug, but that animal became a bigger problem. I forget what that was. There's something in North America that is like that, like a classic conservation story. So yeah. So, but yeah, I don't really have a conclusion with that. It's just kind of fascinating to kind of behold it. The tiger thing is really fascinating because it's like, the fact that there are cartoons about this. The fact that we've reduced tigers so much that there's just it's like tigers are your raging animal, and the fact that we've reduced them so much to the point where there's just more of them in a completely separate continent. It's kind of wild to think about. And as far as sand tiger sharks, it's like we've reduced them so much that there's value in having a captive breeding program, because in that sense, at least you have living sharks, with living genes, DNA, that it's there, but it's just like it's I don't know. These are sobering thoughts to think about. So, and again, I don't have a conclusion. I think it's just important and interesting to mull over. So, yes, Vinges. It's like they wouldn't be here without us, but also if we weren't here in the first place. Yeah. So, and in light of this kind of climate, I'm really happy to see, like we've seen on a lot of our episodes, that there are still some, or not some, quite a few sharks that are actually okay, that are actually doing well. Like I'm really happy to see like deep water sharks, the Port Jackson shark, or the sand devil, or the Atlantic sharpnose shark. Like they're going to be okay, and I'm really happy to see that. Especially as we continue to be more self-aware and continue to do more as far as like conservation goes, and also kind of green eco-friendly awareness goes. I'm really happy that even before I was born, that concern was starting to take root, and their movements were starting to begin. Like all the way, like you could even make an argument for like Teddy Roosevelt in like the 1910s, as far as setting up the national park system, or Rachel Carson in the 50s, really starting the bedrocks of the environmental movement, starting to kind of like have that self-consciousness and self-awareness. So that has ultimately yielded in there's a lot more focus on green now. Like there's a lot more focus on just like being eco-friendly, a lot more focus on like just marine parks or national parks, or just kind of preserving nature. So I'm hopeful. So, yep, sharks are amazing. I definitely agree, Howard. I'm going to start that. Sharks are amazing survivors, but finning has to stop. So, yep. And I'm really glad in this age, like, we have, like, a lot more exposure. There was, what is that documentary? It's not The Cove, because The Cove is about dolphins. There is a documentary about finning, about sharks specifically. I cannot remember what it is, but it was released around the same time as The Cove, which is a really harrowing documentary. So, yeah, Minges, it's so crazy to think about how recent our definition of focused conservation is. Yeah, because like in the scope of human history, that's like a blip, because that is 120 years. Am I doing my math right? First national park. Let's just say first national park. Excuse me. Yellowstone was 1872. Oh, but the National Park Service was not established until 1916. So, yeah. 2024 minus 1916. So, 108 years. So, interesting. Oh, wow. Howard. Gordon Ramsay did a doc on finning. I gotta check that out. Very interesting. I had no idea. So, no idea. That's a lot better. I was watching Gordon Ramsay in Minecraft earlier today, so that finning documentary is a lot more substantial than the Gordon Ramsay thing I was looking at earlier. So I will definitely have to check that out. It was a meme. It was a dumb YouTube meme I was watching earlier. But I think we should end with one more clip, and one more peek at our Coral Catshark friend before we wrap up for tonight. So, but. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really glad. It's always a pleasure to kind of like talk about not just our shark species, but just kind of go off rail a little bit and like talk about kind of like the bigger picture and bigger issues, and just talk about like, it's nice to address them and embrace them and kind of think about like what we can do in our daily impact, which is like every person has power as far as like, your choices as a shopper or a consumer matters. Like where is your seafood coming from? Do you want to cut back on seafood? Do you like want to kind of help like maybe with like a volunteer program as far as like shark education, or like help your local aquarium, or even like fact checking, even like going on like just like aquarium websites kind of correcting conservation statuses like we've done on the stream. Like every little bit helps, not littering, recycling, cleaning up beach trash. That's actually a big one, sadly enough. Like there's so much junk on the beach, and just to kind of like go out of your way to like pick up a little bit, even like one bottle, that helps, because that actually could like one bottle or one bag of plastic, if you just like pick it up from the beach, even if it's not yours, you could actually be preventing a sea turtle from choking. So it's just like, and literally, because they mistake them for jellyfish, and that matters, So, and I say this because again, conservation can be really discouraging and very depressing, but it's important to always be hopeful and optimistic, and like know that your impact genuinely does matter. Like your actions genuinely can like make things more positive. Like you can it matters that you did a positive thing. It's an important thing. So oh my gosh, the Finding Nemo music just swelled when I said that. So but thank you guys so much for watching. This was a really great stream, and I really enjoyed being with you guys and talking about our beautiful coral cat shark. So next week, stay tuned for the Pondicherry shark. That's going to be a really intense stream, because that is, one of the most critically endangered sharks in the world. It definitely contends with the lost shark for most endangered. So that's going to be wild. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and a really good night. And I will see you soon. So cheers, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.